Welcome back to the channel. I'm Peter Mokray, a Dallas-based DP and Gaffer, and in today's video, we're putting the C-stand up against a combo stand. Now, a lot of people may have a C-stand in their kit, and they just don't know when it's the right time to jump up to a combo stand, and we're going to talk about that today. Now, each of them has their advantages and disadvantages, and I will put a quick disclaimer out there. I know that C-stands are technically not designed to hold lights. They're designed to hold grippage and hold out flags and things like that using the arm. I get that, but a lot of people do use C-stands for lighting, and that's what we're going to talk about today. And we're just going to remove the gobo arm from the mix, the grip arm, because I could always add one to a combo stand if I wanted to as well. I'll get into the specs on both of these stands and show you the advantages and disadvantages. Let's get into it. So right off the bat, looking at both of these stands, you'll notice that they're very different, but they do share similarities. So first off, they're both double risers, meaning that they have two sections that you open up that make them rise. So that makes it a double riser. They both do actually have baby pins. This one is hidden away right here. This one is on top of the stand. But what makes this a combo is not only does this have a baby pin here, is it also has the ability to take a junior. So this is a junior receiver, and a junior pin slides in there for bigger, heavier stands. So let's see what these look like when you put them head to head. So the combo here comes in at $276, and this is the current price I picked off of B&H. They are showing cheaper on B&H than directly on the Matthews website. And then this stand right here is $251, the C-stand. So this is a sliding leg C-stand, and this is a double riser digital combo. So that's what it's called. So this is a smaller combo than what they normally have with their big heavy duty, what they call the Hollywood combo. So I felt that it would be kind of a good upgrade. When you're coming from this, you go into this, and this was actually my first combo, so that's why I want to show it off. This one weighs 16 pounds and this one weighs 18 pounds, and then the minimum height on this one is 51 inches and the minimum height on this one is 53 inches. And you're like, wait a second, but this is taller. Well, this one actually drops down like this to get lower. So now you see it is actually a bit lower. So you do have that flexibility to make that adjustment. So that's how it's able to get a lot lower. Now the max height on this is 132 inches, and the max height on the C-stand is 127 inches. And then the payload is what really sets these guys apart. And the payload on the combo itself is 88 pounds, and the payload on the C-stand itself is 22 pounds, which is a big difference. It's 4 times more payload capacity than your C-stand. So that's where you can see how moving from this to this could be a good move for you. And then the footprint, that's also a big factor. We have 27.5 inches here for the footprint where the legs spread out, and then here we get a total of 50 inches, which is a bigger spread. Now I want to show something to you guys. When it comes to footprint, it's really important, and there's a few things to factor in. So first of all, it's footprint, but also at what point the stand is supported. So think of yourself standing like this, and you have your feet together, and then you kind of open them up to make a V shape. So that's kind of what you're getting with the stand here. It's opened up. I don't have a third leg to help me out, but that gives you an idea. So you're less stable like this than if you were to open up your legs like this to stabilize yourself. So when you see football players or athletes or anyone and they want to be more stable, you open up your legs like this. You don't stand like this to be stable, because you kind of rock back and forth. And that's where a smaller footprint here is not as sturdy as this. So if I were to push on this, it doesn't want to fall over as easily if I push on this. Now we don't have weight on them, we don't have sandbags or shot bags, but that just gives you an idea of the stability of it. And you notice that on this one, the support comes up here and supports it rather than being low, just like my feet here being lower, and then now my support is coming here. So the center of gravity does change in that aspect as well. So that's where this becomes a more stable option. But let's jump into some of the other similarities, and let's talk about the sliding leg and the Rocky Mountain leg. On both of these stands, there is an adjustable leg. So let's take a look at the C-stand first. So let's say there's a situation where I need to get this stand really close to, let's say, this object here, whatever it may be, and I need to get it where it's kind of lands in this world. And the problem is, or you know what, we'll do it like this so you could really see it. I need to get this stand as close to this edge as possible for whatever reason. So this has an adjustable leg here that you lift up, and you can adjust it and bring it into place. Make sure you're nice and level. Make sure you're not leaning too much one way. When you do this, you want to make sure you're nice and safe and the orientation is correct. And now you've been able to adjust that. And this is called a sliding leg. This is what it looks like when you remove it. It would obviously fall over, but here it is nice and stable. You would put your shot bag or your sandbags on it and you're good to go. And now let's look at the combo. So with the combo, if we had elevated ground over here and this side of the hill is taller than the other side, you can see the stand is leaning. But with this adjustable leg here, we're able to level everything correctly and get it exactly how we want it. And we have that adjustability. So this is called a Rocky Mountain leg, probably because the mountains are not level and everything. So you have that adjustment, so you could adjust it. Always make sure you're nice and level. Sometimes you could do it by eye, or if you can, put a little spirit level up against it and make sure you're nice and plumb. So plumb is vertical, level is horizontal. So you want to make sure you're nice and plumb, and that will make sure everything is leveled out really well so you don't have any accidents. If it is leaning, the higher you go, the more unsafe it is and it could fall over. Now let's put ourselves in a scenario. So our scenario is we have a wall right here. So imagine these apple boxes are your wall, and you need to bring in the stand as close as possible because it's a tight space or whatever the case may be. We're not using gobo arms or anything to get our lights or anything closer. We just have our stands. So how close can we get it? So if we look here, we can get this stand about this close, and then this one hits about right there. So you can already tell that the distance is different. Now let's make another scenario. I'm going to take this and have this ledge here, and imagine this is an opening for something. We need to slide our stand in to get it really close. So even on the tall leg, we can pretty much go all the way in, any leg we want, and we could touch this edge. So that means we could get the light as close as we can. This stand will have limitations, and it'll have to stop here if it had to slide under that point. So you could see the difference already between the two. This one touches the wall. Here we have a little bit of a gap and distance, and sometimes that could be a factor. Let's put aside the weight payload capacity and just look at this stand as it is versus this stand. Oftentimes when you're in a tight space, your stands end up being very close together. So you may have this stand doing this stand doing that, and it can get a little cluttered. So let's see what a C stand will do. If you have a C stand, you can take advantage of the different size legs and actually bring them really close together. They'll pretty much be able to touch each other and be very close. And you have the ability to slide shorter legs under the other legs, change it up, put the bigger legs over the shorter ones, and have that kind of arrangement. So it's very easy to have a compact setup. Now, when it comes to combos, you don't have that advantage. This is pretty much as close as you can get, and you still have that gap, and that may not work for you. Now, if you go a little crazy and put something through like this, you do run the risk of them being tangled. And then if you need to move something, if I need to move this stand, it's not easy to move without moving this stand. Here, if I need to move this one, I can move this one. If I need to move this one, I can easily move this one because they're not locked into each other. This one requires both of them to be moved. So makes it tricky when trying to maneuver these guys around in a way where you can move them quickly if there has to be adjustments made. Now, I know some people say don't put lights on C-stands, but I know some of you are doing it. I even do it. So let me know down in the comments if you use your C-stands for lighting as well. So I added a light and then a spotlight to the combo. We have our standard baby pin here, which is common for lights, from small lights to even some of the larger lights do have that option. You slide that on, but once you get to a certain size, you'll have a junior pin, which looks like this. Let me get this here, and it has that look to it. So that slides in you have a junior pin, but this one actually does give you the option of having a baby pin as well. So you kind of have two options, but normally in a scenario, you'd be putting a heavy light onto this, and that would make it a little too much for that baby pin. So we have our two stands here, and if you notice, I added shot bags to the stand. So let me show you guys a cool trick. If you have really good shot bags or sandbags, these are 20 pounds each and they're tiny. And instead of reaching down to move the stand, all you have to do is just slide it off. Same with this, they just come right off. That's why you put them on the outside of the stand like this, because it makes it easier. And that's why you go with ones that are smaller, more compact, so you could do that and easily remove them and then move on to your next location. So if you have to pick it up and move, you could carry it easily. But this is able to handle a bigger payload. We showed you the difference. This is a 22-pound payload capacity, and this has an 88-pound payload capacity. So that means I could take this guy here, set this off to the side, and I could just disconnect it. This has a detachable yoke, which is really cool. Get this guy here, and then I can actually attach it here. And now I have this big setup, and it's going to be heavier than if it was this, but this could handle it better. Now, if I wanted to elevate this really high, I'd be a little concerned, especially because of the footprint of this. Remember, this has a smaller footprint of 27.5 inches compared to this combo, which has a 50-inch footprint, which is quite a bit bigger. Now, the advantage of that is more stability. So more stability means it's safer. So honestly, outdoors, I would avoid using C-stand. That could kind of be your transition point. Hey, I'm going outside. I need something more heavy duty, something that's a little more stable and that I feel better about attaching my lights to, especially if you attach something like a dome. A dome becomes a sail. It catches the wind. It's nice, big, and soft, but it could catch the wind and create issues. So I would lean towards something like a combo. All right, time for a scientific, unscientific test. As you can see, I've thrown the light up with the spotlight up there. It may be at the limits of its weight. I don't know, I didn't weigh it, but it is a little sketch. But what I want to show you real quick, when you are extending stands, it's always good not to go all the way where it stops. You go up to that point and then you let it drop down a little so it has a little stability. So then it kind of comes down back a little bit so it's not putting so much pressure on the joint and it's ready to pop out. So that's something to really consider when doing it. And I'll pop it onto this stand and I'll show you the difference between the two. So let's take a look up there real quick and see how it's shaking bacon. See how less stable that is? I really don't like that. If the wind was catching that, that is a lot of movement. I'm gonna stop now because I don't want my light crashing down. And then let's go ahead and pop it on this one and I'm gonna shoot it up and I'll show you how that shakes out. Let's talk booms. All right, normally I wouldn't recommend using a C-stand for a boom, but there are scenarios where you're in a tight space or you're doing a very light payload, let's say a little tube light that's going to get boomed out. I would recommend a baby boom, and this is an Avenger D600, and this is with one extension extended out. I do have a few videos that I've done showing you how to balance a boom and make it where it's nice and safe. I'll link those down below. And then here we have our junior boom. And you can see the difference in the sizes. You can see this is a lot thicker, a lot sturdier than this right here. And this is designed to go onto a junior receiver or even a combo style stand. Now remember, the only difference between a combo and then a junior stand is just that the combo has the baby pin built in as well that pops out. When it comes to casters, the combo wins. And the reason is there are many options out there on the market. You could get regular hard ones like this, which are designed for use on indoor or hard surfaces, or you could go with pneumatic ones, which are air-filled, and those give you the ability to go on grass or rougher terrain. Now, for C-stands, there are casters out there. I highly recommend you stay away from them. They are very unsafe, they are very unstable, and most reputable brands do not make casters for them just because of the risk. What it does is it raises them up more, the C-stand, and it just makes it way less stable. So I would stay away from those. Portability may be a top priority for some of you. So when it comes to that, it's kind of kind of a tie in a way. Now this one is a little bulkier in some ways, the combo versus the C-stand, but let's take a look at the C-stand when you close it up and see what you get out of it. So you have it closed up and it is very narrow and skinny, so it does have that advantage, but you do have these legs that can get in the way. So when you start getting a few of them and you start stacking them into a place, sometimes you're putting it through somewhere and the leg catches and it just gets in the way. So that's something to consider when it comes to a C-stand. Now they make varieties where the base of it is removable, but we're talking about the sliding leg. Now when it comes to the combo, it is a bit chunkier in its own way, but you do have the ability to stow it away differently and it makes it compact in its own way. So if you had a few of these, they stack a little bit better. So what does it all come down to? Well, using the right tool for the right job, but also using what you already have. If you have a C-stand and it's working for you, there's no reason to make the jump to a combo stand. Now, if you're going to upgrade your lights and get into like the 600 range and above wattage wise, that's when you need to start looking at something like a combo stand. And if you're going to be using those lights outdoors and sticking them up really high, you want to have that stability and you want to have that safety. Now, if you're going to stick with smaller stuff, corporate stuff, one-man band stuff, and you're just going to have a small dome on a stand, you can get away with the C-stand. It's not always recommended, but carrying something clunky like this can be a disadvantage to your situation. So you have to pick what works best for you. Now for me, I use both of them. I use them for different situations. There's one day where I'll use this for the same light that I'll use this stand. So it's like, I can't say that one is better than the other. They both serve a purpose, and sometimes time is money and you can quickly grab this because you have it right next to you versus going and grabbing this stand, and that's just what works out. Thank you so much for watching. If you really like this content, let me know by shooting a comment down below, hitting the like button, and even subscribing. Now I will tell you, if you did like this video, also let me know down below and I can do a comparison between other stands and other things. Just let me know what you want to see next. Thank you so much, and I'll see you on the next one. And YouTube always recommends you click these weird things here. There's something here, whatever. I don't know what they're talking about. They probably don't know what they're talking about. See ya.